Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth podcast of hukukteknolojisi.com. Hukuk Teknolojisi is the Turkish equivalent of legal tech. We are the first and the largest legal tech community building platform in Turkey. I am Çiğdem Gizem Okkaoğlu, the co-founder of this platform. Today, we have a very special guest, Dorna Moini, the founder and the CEO of a major legal tech company. This company headquartered in Silicon Valley, and the name of the company is Gavel. It was previously called Documate, but the company has been rebranded last year and had a brand new name, Gavel. Dorna is in California right now, and we have 10 hours of time difference between us. It's way too much early for her, about 6:30 in the morning right now. Welcome, Dorna. Many thanks for accepting our invitation, and we are so glad to have you as our guest in this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Chigdam. It's so great to be on this podcast, and I'm excited to speak with you and your community.
Thank you so much again. Dorna and I, we go back to 3 years ago, indeed. Back then, I was working for the Istanbul branch of an international law firm. We were working on an innovation project, which was mainly about document automation regarding the field of antitrust law. I was responsible for the project. I was searching for no-code platforms, analyzing pros and cons of each platform. And in the process of searching for a proper platform, I found Documate. I set up a trial account. And even though I wasn't a customer, I was just a potential customer. I was chatting with Dorna day and night. Dorna, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And she was fully there for me. I remember saying her, hey, Dorna, thank you so much. You are like my neighbor. I feel like I can knock your door anytime, and you and your colleagues are there for me anytime to support. And later on, I found out that Dorna was the founder and the CEO of this platform. And then I was like, hey, hi, Dorna, dear Dorna. Thank you so much for your kind support, best regards, and so on. The whole experience was so nice, and many thank you for that.
Yeah, it was a very fun experience going back and forth with you and hearing about the things that you were building. And I will say that that's still very much a core of our company, is just really getting involved with our customers, giving them everything that we can. We've now, now that we've grown, we have an expanded customer team as well. And it's still very much the heart of our company, because we really care about what our customers are building.
So Dorna, before starting, we would be so happy to get to know you better. Could you please tell us about yourself and your career first, and how did you end up with founding a no-code legal document automation platform, the Gavel?
Yes, definitely. So I was an attorney. I practiced for about 7 years and was at big firms at that time. And I also did, on the side, I did a lot of pro bono work through my firm. So you have a certain number of hours, usually when you work at most big firms, that you are allowed to dedicate towards pro bono work. And the area that I was doing a lot of pro bono work in at the time was domestic violence. And so I would help domestic violence survivors through the process of getting restraining orders, getting economic relief, getting child support needs, and then many times all the way through to the situation where maybe they had an appeal on their case because of some specific legal issues. And what I was finding was that I wasn't able to spend as much of my time on later phases of the case that really required my help and support, like taking the client to court, representing them on their appeal on a very novel legal issue. So what I wanted to do was build something that was sort of like an automated legal tool online that consumers could use, that our legal aid organizations could use, that we could use as pro bono attorneys to expedite those earlier phases of the case, so that our customers would be able to get where they needed, and we could meet them at the point where they needed us. So at the time, I got together, I'm not an engineer. And so my challenge was, how do I build this piece of software? So I got together with a friend of mine who was an engineer, and we built exactly that. It was a platform where you get on, you answer questions, you are routed down different paths, down different decision trees, And throughout that process, you're given information about what you need to do at different phases of your case. And at the end, you generate documents for each of those different phases of the case. And it also helped you e-file if you had e-filing available. So we built that tool, launched it. We launched it into law firms where pro bono attorneys were helping use this, into legal aid organizations where legal aid organizations were using it to help their clients. And then we also had consumers using the platform to help themselves get through the process. And what happened was that we got a lot of press. We got a little bit of press for that tool that we had built for domestic violence survivors. And as a result, we had all of this inbound interest from other attorneys. And those attorneys were not specifically within domestic violence. They were in other areas of law, in other jurisdictions. And what they were telling us is that they wanted to build tools that were similar to what we had built for domestic violence, but for other areas of law. And so we sort of thought, okay, how do we help all of these different attorneys? Do we sit down and download their brains onto a piece of paper or into like a Word document and then figure out how to code that into a platform like we did for the domestic violence platform? And ultimately, we actually did that for a few legal areas. But ultimately, what we realized was that the best way to help these customers was not to build out the different legal areas that they wanted for them, but rather to empower them to be able to turn their expertise into legal tools that they could use to access their clients and really expand their base of clients. Because if they're able to provide this through a scalable technology platform, they're also able to reach many, many more people. So that was the beginning of what is now Gavel. We are now the automation infrastructure for our customers who are building end-to-end legal tools, whether they're using them internally or in a client-facing way.
And what was the reason for rebranding? It was Documate at first, and then it became Gavel. And where did the idea come from at the very first place?
So we decided to change our name. So our former name was Documate, as you mentioned. And that was very much because in the very early days, our platform was only document automation. Document automation is still a huge core of our product. And through the new name, we're still renewing our commitment to building the best document automation platform that is out there. But what we've realized from a lot of our customers really is that our platform delivers so much more than just the automation. Today, Gavel is used for full intake, client intake, workflow automation, to build expert systems and to host the client portals on which those document automation tools are built. And we've really become the foundation of how our customers collect and manage their data, how they collaborate with their clients, how they generate new work product, and then also how they package and serve their online legal products online to their clients and scale their practices. And with the name Gavel, this actually took a very long process. We could probably do a whole podcast on the naming process. But for centuries, the gavel has been used to express finality in decision making. And it symbolizes final decisions generated through a very trusted process. And that's exactly what we see ourselves as, is Gavel helps you turn process, law, and services and your expertise into customizable legal tools that bring value to your clients at scale. And so we want to be the central source for document automation continuously, but also data, client collaboration, and monetizing legal products.
So Gavel is much more than documents, I see.
Exactly.
The additional features and additional services is much more than that. Okay.
Exactly.
Could you please tell us about the main functionality of Gavel? You've already mentioned that partly, but we would like to know a bit more.
Definitely. So we call ourselves the automation infrastructure for law firms. And the reason for that is because we do everything really that you need to around the automation that you're providing to your clients. So it starts with client intake. And that could be sending out a link to your clients. It could be them filling out their information online, or it could just be you as a firm entering the client data into the system. So that's the first thing, is the data capture. That data capture, we want that to be as easy and seamless and low mental overload as possible. So you're able to build rules into the system so that you're not seeing a ton of irrelevant information. So that's the first piece, is the data entry in a very clean way. Second is funneling that into either decisions or documents. So it could be that once you've entered a piece of data, a set of data, it's going to give you some further instructions on what to do, and that could be some instructions for your paralegal or for your staff or for your team to file a certain way or fill out a certain document, or maybe some other information that they need to know. So it really can be used also as sort of as a training platform, because we're workflow and document automation. But what most of our customers use as really the core is the document automation piece, which means that you're taking all that data and you're putting it into a ton of different documents based on predefined logic that you've inserted into the platform, into the Gavel platform. And so what that does is you may have sets of many, many, many documents. Sometimes people are just automating something like an engagement letter, which is super simple. But many times people are automating 100 documents where you're spewing out a specific document for each jurisdiction. Maybe like in the US, for example, 50 states, you might have a separate document that's being generated for each different state, depending on where someone is operating or where someone has had contact with. So those documents can then be created based on logic that you've defined. And then after that, we are also very much a portal for you and your clients to interact with the data that they've entered, the documents that they have, files that they may have uploaded, and everything else. We don't have communication in there specifically yet, but that's something that will come in the future as well.
Okay. And we would like to know if there are certain types of documents or legal areas that are more suitable for document automation. I mean, for productization. Could you please name some specific features that make a legal service or a legal service or a legal document more suitable for automation? And by the way, it would also be great if you could explain us a bit what productization of legal services means.
Definitely. So with respect to automation, I would say most documents can be automated in some way. However, what you should be looking for as someone who's deciding what do I automate first for my firm is something that is being used on a fairly frequent basis, because you're going to build it into the system. And so if you're only going to use it once, you might as well just draft it from scratch that one time. But if it's something that you're going to be using multiple times, then you want to have a system built for it that you can continue to use and find value on. And then second is you want some level of complexity. So if it's something that's a super simple document where all you're doing is changing out a name, automation could help you. But where you're really going to find value, if you're thinking about what do I automate first, is those documents that have lots and lots of rules, lots of things that you're changing inside. A lot of times at a firm, this looks like the template that you go into your system, and you're looking at all these rules that are written in there of remove this paragraph if this, add this paragraph if this, remove this sentence if this, fill this sentence out like this. So those templates typically in a lot of firms, you've already have a lot of instructions written in there. And those are the instructions that you're trying to build into Gavel. So that's what I would look for first in looking for what to automate, even though it really is something that you can use. There's such a broad swath of document types that you can use to automate, because it's all about your rules. We are practice area agnostic, and so you can build any area of law that you want. And then with respect to your second question on productization is the process of taking your legal services and turning them into legal products. And so that looks like, maybe you provided a service that you had in a very bespoke fashion, and you were providing in a bespoke fashion to your clients. And now what you can do is provide a different pricing model, although you don't necessarily have to, but different pricing model, flat fee, subscription fee, any of those other models. And then you also are hopefully potentially doing it at scale. So your clients are coming onto the platform, they're able to take care of themselves for a lot of the process, where the human attorney doesn't need to be involved for everything. Now I'm a huge proponent of hybrid services. So I'm not saying that it always needs to be just technology handling everything, although there are situations where that's possible. But I think there's a lot of situations in many areas of law where you can have the client go through a platform, meet their needs, and then the attorney comes in for specific points of contact to ensure consistency, quality, and accuracy.
I agree with you. Lawyers should be there somehow at some point in the process, because they have to make sure the quality, and we don't want that to be turned into a scandal. There have been some scandals recently in the United States, so we don't want it to be like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, human factor should be there, but it should be minimized, and it can be minimized, right?
Definitely.
And who are the main customers of Gavel? We know that some certain full-fledged legal tech companies are built on Gavel. For example, Hello Divorce. How is that possible, and what are the steps to take? So last week I tried to use Hello Divorce. It was the very first time I tried to use it. I think it's only available for the United States citizens, right? And I was almost getting divorced, so I just clicked on it. So I was afraid. So you're filling out some forms, and you are going forward, and then your petition is ready. So it's the whole full-fledged product for divorce, right? Could you explain that a bit?
Definitely. Yeah. So there are many different legal technology platforms that you may have heard of that are, I think your first question was, who are our customers? Our customers sort of span all sizes of law firms. And a lot of these legal tech companies that you're talking about, like Hello Divorce, there are a few others that are public about using us, who've gotten a little bit of press as well, like Just Tech and Landlord Legal. So there are lots of other platforms as well, and Hello Divorce as well, that have built really incredible products to serve their communities. But a lot of times they actually start with a law firm, which is really interesting to us. So it's oftentimes the law firm who signs up at first. They are using it to automate internal processes, to automate their interactions with their clients and collaborate with their clients in a better way. And then they sort of come up with the idea of, oh, what can I do now? I can turn this into a divorce platform and a real full-fledged legal technology company. And that's really what's happened with a lot of the companies on our platform. So I think that it's really just about getting on, figuring out what you need, and that is oftentimes the easiest path to getting to building that legal technology product that you may want to publicize for the rest of the world.
It's very interesting to hear that the legal tech process, the automation process, starts with the law firms, which could be said that they are the main competitors of legal tech firms, but they are somehow cooperating at some point.
Definitely. So I think that a lot of lawyers have seen that there is a huge opportunity to be had in building these types of alternative types of services. And really, whether or not you're going to turn it into a legal tech company, they're realizing that their clients are demanding this type of both efficiency and really client interaction, because it's not just about the efficiency for the client. It's also about, how am I now interacting with my lawyer? Is it through a seamless technology platform? Am I being asked to sit on the phone or in person to answer a bunch of questions? So there are lots of aspects of the client relationship that are significantly improved, whether or not there's going to be a discount on the bill or the costs are going to be different. And I think with respect to the cost side, a lot of firms are seeing that there's actually a lot of potential opportunity in having different pricing models, because you're now able to, maybe some of those pricing models may be cheaper for the same types of work. However, you're now able to serve so many more people. And in most of those areas, there was already a lot of competition. There was pricing pressure pushing down on these types of law. So if you're able to make them efficient, package them in a seamless way for your clients, you can provide them a slightly lower cost, maybe, but you are also able to reach a broader swath of the population who maybe couldn't afford your hourly rates.
So it's kind of a mass production in the delivery of legal services, but with some tailor-made touches, like some haute couture touches. So it's very
Exactly.
interesting. And what do you think are the expected benefits of using Gavel for a law firm or for a legal technology company? Could you give us some real-life examples, if there are any that pops up in your mind?
Yeah, so I would say number one probably is time savings. So we hear all the time from our customers that how much time they're saving. And last week we were hearing from several of our customers who had been using our platform for a while, who we were doing some little surveys on, that they've saved 20 plus hours a week just by automating some of their processes. So that's important. Second is just accuracy. So I remember when I was an attorney, I would sit inside of, I would create documents for my clients, and I would have to pour through them to make sure that everything was accurate. And I had sometimes even small things like making sure you're changing out names in the right places, making sure that things that are not relevant have been taken out in these very, very lengthy documents that are oftentimes maybe the first draft of a document. So that type of accuracy, and making sure that that time that maybe I was spending going through that document to make sure that I hadn't made any mistakes was oftentimes not billable. So when I'm able to now make sure that I haven't made those errors and it's bulletproof, that gives me a lot of peace of mind as an attorney as well. And then there's just so much opportunity in terms of a revenue opportunity for customers. So you get to delight your customers with the platform that you're providing them, your clients with the platform that you're providing them, but you also have a big revenue opportunity to serve many, many more people and at scale.
And how do you see the future of billable hour pricing model, considering the cost efficiencies born with the improvements in legal tech?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that alternative fees and alternative fee models are something that have been that are being pushed by clients already. And so law firms are doing it. And so their challenge now is, how do they now become more efficient to make those alternative fees lucrative and make sure that they remain profitable, and they have good margins for their firms as well, so that everyone sort of wins. And so that's been pushing a lot of firms towards using legal technology to improve their practices. However, I don't necessarily think that the billable hour is going to go away completely. I think there are certain areas where the billable hour makes sense. It just doesn't make sense for every area, particularly areas that are mostly predictable. You're usually taking up about the same amount of time to accomplish and get to the finish line on particular areas of law. But there are some areas, where hourly services might actually continue to be the only way that we can do it. So I don't think that it'll be gone completely, but I think there's definitely a lot of room for pricing discussions.
And our listeners will be interested in this discussion so much, like how a Turkish law firm or a legal tech company can use Gavel, can benefit from Gavel. Are there any jurisdictional barriers preventing the usage? Or do you have any customer from Turkey, any business partner from Turkey?
Yes. So no jurisdictional barriers, and we do have customers in Turkey. So yeah, you can build, just like you can build any practice area on our platform, you can also build any jurisdiction on our platform. And on top of that, you can actually use any kind of characters that you want in any jurisdiction as well. So if whatever your keyboard can write, you can put into the Gavel system. We even have people using right to left languages like Arabic, Hebrew, Chinese, Japanese. So, or not all right to left, but you can really build anything on the platform. So, yeah, if you have it in your brain, get onto the platform and build it out.
Okay, perfect. That's good to hear. As a law firm, are working on legal tech very hard, and we might use Gavel very soon for document automation purposes. Thank you so much. So thank you so much again for this great conversation. It's been so informative and beneficial. And as the final remarks, I was wondering your opinion regarding the future of legal tech. So we follow you, your company and your publications, your interviews and so on. You always say that, I will directly quotate you. You always say that in the next 10 years, it's been estimated that about 90% of legal tech services are going to be delivered online. So do you really believe in this statistics? And do you think that this is a disruptive innovation? And for some jurisdictions, I can also count Turkey among these jurisdictions. That looks like far, far away. But what do you think about the USA and the rest of the world, Europe and countries like Turkey?
Definitely. So we are seeing firsthand a huge acceleration in the use of legal technology to serve customers. And so I very much believe in that statistic and that we are going to reach that in the next 10 years or so. We even outside, in the US especially, there's a huge push, especially from the access to justice community, because there are lawyers who are trying to reach more people and make sure that the middle class is able to get legal services. But even outside of the US, what we're seeing is there is just such an expansion of everyday consumers having access to internet, smartphones. And that's one of the reasons why mobile friendliness is very important to our platform, is that even in other places, and particularly within the middle class and people who may not be able to afford certain types of technology, most people still have some sort of form of phone, and a very large proportion of those, I actually don't know the latest stat in the US, but have smartphones. And so if you build something on a legal technology platform that's online and people can access it in a mobile friendly way, that continues to enable the expansion of legal services. The other thing is, it's not just when we talk about 90% of legal services are going to be delivered online, it's not just current legal services. It is the additional pie of legal services that we are tapping into by providing affordable and streamlined legal services through things like Gavel or just online legal services through technology. So it's a very big portion of the population who's now able to access legal services, and lawyers who are now able to tap into that community, which is also, it ends up being a win-win because it's also a revenue source, even though it may be a different pricing model.
Mm-hmm. So the cake is growing, right? And
exactly. Exactly.
That's really nice. And it's also important for the society as a whole, for the development of the society, access to justice.
Exactly. Definitely.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to your company as well for doing this hard work.
Yes. We thank all you people like you and all the lawyers who are really building these tools, because it's the expertise that you put onto the platform, and you're able to reach so many more of your clients in that way. So it's definitely a big team effort for the entire legal community.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was super fun. And if anyone is curious about legal technology in general or wants to chat, they can feel free to reach out as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Talk soon.